got great news on a Friday. It's even better than the best document dump. Boehner out. But the bad news is I'm not quite sure what this does for progressives in this country. Good to have you with us on this Friday edition of Ed Schultz News and Commentary. If you hadn't heard by now, John Boehner has decided to call it quits as Speaker of the House. End of October, it's going to be over. Of course, there's an uproar on the right wing in this country, and the Democrats are saying it's about time. Boehner is not going to be remembered for a speaker of action other than negativity. I mean, how many votes did they actually hold in the House to get rid of Obamacare? Why wouldn't he work with the White House when it comes to jobs? Why wouldn't he do anything on infrastructure? It was more obstruction. He was just the quarterback of a dysfunctional Congress. And I think for Boehner, it's a take this job and shove it moment. And for America, I don't know what's going to change. Does this empower the radicals even more? Kevin McCarthy in line now to be Speaker of the House. For more on all of this, let's go to Tim Ryan, who is a congressman from Ohio, great friend. First of all, people are working over Ohio State because they're not playing anybody. I need your first reaction to that.
They're right.
But they're playing well. That's the good news.
They're doing all right. We had a little tough one squeaker last week. We're a little too close for comfort for a while.
I'll tell you what, everybody was working over the Buckeyes because you didn't win by a big enough margin. All right. To serious stuff about Boehner. This is news a lot of people in the House certainly did not expect. Your thoughts on it? What happened here? What unfolded? What do you think brought this to a head?
This has been brewing for a while. I mean, we can go back to the first time he was at the White House. He was talking to the president about a comprehensive tax bill, $4 trillion, tax reform proposal. He brought it back to the Tea Party folks in his caucus, and they wholly and entirely rejected it. And that was the beginning of the Tea Party really. You say he was the quarterback of a dysfunctional team, but it was the Tea Party up in the box calling all the plays, and he had to go out and try to execute it. And, obviously I think he got tired of it. I think they got tired of him, and it was all coming to a head with the Planned Parenthood and the government shutdown and everything that's coming in the next week or so.
So Congressman, was it a take this job and shove it moment for John Boehner? I mean, it seems to me it's like a guy just threw his hands up and said, to hell with it. I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah, I think so. I think there's some truth to the fact that he may have been able to squeak out another win, but, it would have gotten uglier and uglier. It started with his swearing in the vote for Speaker last year, where he had a handful of people say they wanted someone else to be Speaker within his own caucus. It's continued to fray from there. And he probably said, to hell with it. I don't need this stuff. I can go play golf and drink Cabernet and, watch football.
Here he is
and probably make a hell of a lot of money.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. Here he is making the announcement.
But it's become clear to me that this prolonged leadership turmoil would do irreparable harm to the institution. So this morning I informed my colleagues that I would resign from the speakership and resign from Congress at the end of October.
Well, short and sweet and to the point, and almost to the point of giving him a professional finger. Here's, at the Vote Values Summit in Washington today, this is the reaction in Rubio trying to get political gain on it.
Just a few minutes ago, Speaker Boehner announced that he will be resigning.
And with all, what is it that crowd didn't like? I mean, he stopped Obama on everything he wanted to do. He and McConnell teamed up and got the House and got the Senate moving to deliver a record number of filibusters. So why is the Tea Party so excited about this, Congressman Ryan?
Well, I think they keep wanting to go further. I think even when they did shut the government down, from my conversations with other Republicans in the House, it was Boehner and the moderate, whatever's left of a moderate, what even that means right now, I don't know, was trying to talk them out of it. We can't do this, we're going to lose. If we shut the government down, we're going to go down in the polls. We've been here before. Trying to explain that to the Tea Party folks, and so now I think they just want to drive the car completely over the cliff. I mean, without anybody like a John Boehner trying to say, "Hey, this may not work out." Now, Boehner capitulated every time to them. but I think he was trying to provide an alternative viewpoint and an alternative road that maybe wasn't as strident. And his language, too, that's what I think we're all learning with this. It's not even where you are on the issues. It's how angry are you? Is your language more or less strident? And if it's more strident, you're more conservative. And Boehner didn't always come off like the bomb thrower. He would say some stuff because I'd look at it and think, well, he felt like he had to say it to appease the Tea Party. So he slowed him down a little bit, Ed. And he always capitulated in the end, but now I think they got frustrated with, hey, we don't want to sit here and talk about this. We just want you to do what we want you to do. So now they're going to call the plays and have the quarterback in that they maybe want.
Here's Senator Ted Cruz having fun with it.
You want to know how much each of you terrify Washington? Yesterday, John Boehner was Speaker of the House. You all come to town and somehow that changes. My only request is, can you come more often?
Well, the reality is that the Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell is trying to give John Boehner some credit for taking over power in the House, and it's just not going to happen. It was the gerrymandering that took place in all of the districts that have put the Republicans into power. Boehner is not going to be remembered as a guy of accomplishment whatsoever, and Nancy Pelosi pretty much sums it up.
That resignation of the Speaker is a stark indication of the disarray of the House Republicans, a demonstration of their obsession with shutting down government at the expense of women's health, and a sign of the failure of the House Republicans to be willing to engage in dialogue for the good of the American people and for us to move forward.
So, Congressman Ryan, the defunding of Planned Parenthood and the looming shutdown, do you think this played into Boehner saying to hell with it?
I think so. This was another fight. Again, he was going to try to say what some Republicans have said. Shutting down the government is not going to solve the problem here. So why are we going to do it and look dysfunctional? And he knew he would maybe put up a fight again and then have to capitulate again. And that's where what you said, he probably threw up his hands and said, to hell with this. You know, I'm done. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and keep doing this and losing these battles and having these extremists continue to get their way. You know, let somebody else take a try at trying to rein them in. And I don't know who that's going to be, because now they're going to be more empowered, more emboldened. And it's one of those things, you know, when you give your power away, Boehner, a long time ago, Ed, we've said this before, he should have just started bringing bills to the floor, working with Democrats, take 150 to 170 Democratic votes, gets 50, 60, 70 Republicans. Let's pass a transportation bill. Let's pass immigration reform. It'll be down the center. It may not be what the left wants, but it'll be something that moves the country forward. Yeah. And he didn't have the guts to do that, and he empowered the Tea Party. I remember him on a bus tour in Ohio in 2010 when it was 9 Democrats, 9 Republicans in Ohio in our congressional delegation, and he was going through. He was riding the Tea Party wave. He was stirring up the Tea Party. He was throwing red meat to them. They won in the short term. They knocked out 5 of our members, and now it's 12-4. But now, you know, you reap what you sow, and he's getting bit on the behind right now.
So Kevin McCarthy, what's he going to be like?
No idea. I mean, it's hard to tell. He just got into leadership not too long ago, and I think he's going to be in the same position unless he's got the guts to take these guys on and really say, hey, we're going to try to alienate the most extreme.
Or if he's one of them in the closet, so to speak, maybe he hasn't shown his radical cards yet. That's going to be interesting.
It will be. You know, maybe he's playing it cool and he wants to put on a nice face. We'll see. I mean, he's in California. I heard that about 35% of his district is Latino, so it'll be interesting to see how he plays the immigration card. And he's going to be front and center now. It sounds like the big fight's going to be over the number 2 spot. Yeah, and the radicals are going to want one of their people in the number 2 spot. So we'll see what happens. It'll be very interesting theater the next few weeks.
All right, Tim Ryan, Congressman from Ohio. I'm filling in for you at the AFL-CIO meeting in Youngstown, Ohio next Thursday. I'm looking forward to it.
You got people so cranked up, man, they're ready to rock and roll. Northeast Ohio is going to be on fire. Big Eddie's coming to town, baby.
And I don't have a script either, and I don't have any rules. It's going to be very interesting.
I can't wait to see you.
All right, Congressman, always a pleasure. Tim Ryan from Ohio with us here on Ed Schultz News and Commentary. Lots going on this Friday. When we come back, we're going to visit with Terry O'Neill, who is the president of the National Organization of Women, her take on how they're unfolding the events surrounding Planned Parenthood. Also with us is going to be Mercedes Schlapp, as we still have Donald Trump smacking away at the opponents. This time he goes after Rubio, which I love, by the way. We're right back here on Ed Schultz News and Commentary. Now this. Hey, folks, you've heard me talk about BioGreen Clean. I'm going to show you right now on my airplane just how tough this is. I want you to keep in mind, chemical-free, 100% plant-derived, biodegradable. It is the safest cleaner that you can get, and it's the most effective. Go to our website, wegoted.com, or go to biogreenclean.com. www.biogreenclean and order today. It's time to continue our conversation about mechanical insulation. Mechanical insulation is for the piping systems in our nation's commercial and industrial facilities. Facility owners are burning up billions of dollars through the lack of mechanical insulation on these piping systems. Call the iSave team. Insulation saves America valuable energy, and this team of energy conservation specialists is shovel-ready to save you money. Visit iSaveTeam.org to have a specialist give your plant an energy audit.
We perpetuate a culture of crime all the way from Wall Street right down to the main street in our hometowns. It's worse than it has been since FDR took control of the problem and said we can't count on industry taking care of the American labor. They probably have already engaged into some type of criminal cover-up, and the law prohibits the government from even doing anything about it.
Catch America's lawyer Mike Papantonio on YouTube at youtube.com/GoLeftTV.
Subscribe to the Ed Schultz podcast today. Simply log on to iTunes, search for Ed Schultz, and click the subscribe button to have the show delivered to your preferred listening device daily, free of charge. Rate and review the podcast to tell us how we're doing. More details at wegoted.com.
Thanks for joining us here on Ed Schultz News and Commentary, brought to you by Communication Workers of America, Alliance for American Manufacturing, BioGreen Clean, and the iSave team. I will be in Ohio next week. On Tuesday, I will be in Lorain, Ohio, where that steel mill is shut down because of a lousy trade agreement. On Wednesday, I'm going to be in Cleveland, Ohio, at a number of different fundraisers giving speeches. And also on Thursday, I'll be in Youngstown, Ohio, speaking at the annual state dinner of the AFL-CIO. Looking forward to a big trip to the Buckeye State. All right, now we're about, 5-6 months away from probably finding out who the next president is going to be, one or the other. And there is a fight right now for the heart and soul of the Democratic Party, and there's a fight going on right now for the heart and soul of the Republican Party. In the big picture, this is bigger news for the Republicans than it is just Boehner just stepping down and saying that I've had enough. Now we're going to see the Tea Party either flex their muscles or not be as strong as they think they are. And there's going to be, there's a real chance that the right wing could go even further right because of all of this. And it's going to intensify the debate in the 11th hour when it comes to defunding Planned Parenthood and possibly having another government shutdown, which could cost us $25 billion again. For more on that, let's turn to Terry O'Neill, President, National Organization of Women. Terry, good to have you with us.
Hey, Ed, it's great to talk with you again.
What does this Boehner resignation mean in this fight to make sure that Planned Parenthood isn't nicked in this fight over funding the government and the shutdown?
Honestly, Ed, to me, from the perspective of women, John Boehner's resignation is yet one more example of his absolutely atrocious leadership that he has shown. He has repeatedly caved in to ultra-right-wing, anti-woman, misogynistic legislators. He's got a lot of them in the House of Representatives, and he has shown no leadership to overcome that. What that means long-term for the Republican Party is that they have lost the votes of a majority of women. They will not have the millennial women's vote for generations. And that is really bad for women generally, because we need the Democrats and the Republicans to be competing with each other for women's vote. But the Republicans and John Boehner's inability to rein in the crazies in his party mean that they are chasing women away.
Yeah.
It's not good for women any way you look at it.
What do you know about Kevin McCarthy when it comes to women's issues?
What I don't know about Kevin McCarthy is whether he has ever exhibited any leadership desperately need right now. My sense of his votes is that he has towed the party line on being anti-woman. Look, you know, we've got a number of votes that have been taken in the House of Representatives to block women from birth control. We know that unintended pregnancy is deadly. It is correlated with higher rates of infant mortality and maternal mortality. Also, unintended pregnancy is a key risk factor for domestic violence, homicide. Notwithstanding these facts, you've got Republicans to stop women from accessing birth control. In other words, promoting policies that kill women. This is not okay, and if we don't have a Speaker of the House who understands that half the population cannot tolerate policies that kill us, then, we've got a serious problem with the Republican Party.
Let's run cut 8 if we can. This is Nancy Pelosi talking about it.
With all due respect for the Speaker and his announcement, we still have to stop their actions in shutting down government. The opportunity for a clean, continuing resolution is an absolute necessity. We hope that it will be done in a timely and dialogue-oriented respect for other opinions, again, in the spirit of Francis' way. And we look forward to seeing what comes next.
So, Terry O'Neill, what's going to happen on Monday? Mitch McConnell's holding a procedural vote that would fund Planned Parenthood and avert a shutdown. And now with the House the way it is, who knows which way he's going to go on this. Your thoughts on how this is going to unfold?
Well, I think that John Boehner and Mitch McConnell are really trying to avoid a shutdown. They know how disastrous that would be for the Republican Party. But let me just try an analogy. You and I don't get huge kudos when we wake up in the morning and decide not to commit a murder or not to commit an armed robbery. Nobody pats us on the back and says, great job. I am not patting these Republican leaders on the back and saying, great job, just because they don't have a government shutdown. Yeah. What I'm afraid of, quite frankly, is that they will try to say, oh, look, we're so great, we're so cool, we didn't shut the government down, and then they will work on pushing policies that really undermine women's health, that put women's lives quite literally at risk. That is nothing to be proud of, and that is what I really am afraid that's the direction they're going to go, and they're going to expect people to pat them on the back for it. Well, not me.
Terry O'Neill, always great to visit. Thanks so much for your time on Ed Schultz News and Commentary. We'll do it again. Thank you.
Thank you, Ed.
You bet. Terry O'Neill with us, President of the National Organization of Women. When we come back, Mercedes Schlapp, her take on Donald Trump continuing to attack not only Fox News, but other Republicans in the field. Stay with us. We're right back.
From the steel mills of Pennsylvania, to the auto factories of Michigan, to the modern makers movement, manufacturing makes our nation great. I'm Scott Paul, President of the Alliance for American Manufacturing. We bring business and labor together to advocate for policies that everyone can agree on. Together, we can strengthen manufacturing and create good-paying American jobs. Help us keep it made in America.
Well, there might be a few extra cocktails tonight in Washington because of the Values Voter Summit and the news that John Boehner, of course, is no longer going to be Speaker. What do they expect is going to happen? Does the right wing think that they're going to be able to usher in a more conservative Speaker, someone that's going to see the world a little bit stronger with them than someone who's going to strike any kind of deal with the Democrats? For more on that, let's go to Mercedes Schlapp, Republican strategist and also co-founder of Cove Strategies. Mercedes, good to have you with us.
Hi, Ed. How are you?
Good. What do you make of the reaction? Well, let's play the sound cut. This is Marco Rubio earlier today talking about Boehner and making the announcement at the Voter Values Summit. Here it is.
Just a few minutes ago, Speaker Boehner announced that he will be resigning.
Mercedes, do you share in this euphoria that's taking place on the right?
Well, I have to say, I mean, I've known Speaker Boehner for several years now. I understand the difficulties under which he has to try to build together his party. He's had to deal with a very fractured group of people: Republicans, moderates, conservatives, also dealing with the Democrats. I think what people forget is that Speaker Boehner is not there to be Speaker of the Republican Party. He's there to be Speaker of the House of Representatives and to govern.
But the Tea Party never viewed him like that. It was their way. It was their way or the highway.
Yes, you're right. And the sentiment, across the country and working with conservatives and grassroots across the country, it was very clear that Speaker Boehner, in their minds, was part of the problem. And Senate Majority Mitch McConnell was part of this problem of the Washington dysfunctionality.
Okay.
But again, it's not just them. You've got, when you have not 60 votes in the Senate and you have a Democrat president, it's actually really hard to get things done.
So what's the Tea Party expect right now? Where's Kevin McCarthy with these guys?
Well, Kevin McCarthy has always come across as being the one to get along with everybody. He's one of these more likable congressional leaders. I think where Speaker Boehner, there were times when certain Republicans didn't follow the party line, or they were critical of the Speaker, that, Speaker Boehner was known to not give them the committee assignments that they wanted, or taking them away from being chairman. So this was a big criticism that came especially from the conservatives in the party. So I think that Kevin McCarthy may be different in the way he manages as a speaker. But again, we don't know what's going to happen. This is a big surprise, big news for all of us today.
If he's any kind of moderate at all, he's going to run into all kinds of problems because the Tea Party guys aren't going to change at all. Taking a look at Boehner's decision here, the Pope's visit. Did this have an impact? I mean, the Pope comes over and talks about climate change. He did that today in a big way, talked about the moral obligation, and there are, for lack of a better term, as I see it, a lot of deniers in the Republican Party, especially the Tea Partiers, when it comes to climate change. So did this visit by the Pope have an impact on Boehner, in your opinion, and how's it being received by the right wing?
Well, I think that, to answer your first question, yes. I think this is something that obviously Speaker Boehner had been working for a long time in getting the Pope to come and address Congress. We know that Speaker Boehner is a devout Catholic. It was, I think, a very moving, and even when he talks about the Pope, Ed, on television, I'm sure you've been watching it, he almost breaks down into tears every time he mentions his encounter with the Pope. He's like, who am I to be the one to pray for the Pope? It was just, I think, a very important moment for Speaker Boehner. But I do believe that his decision we knew he was going to resign by the end of the year, but his decision to do it the day after the Pope's visit, I think, was very symbolic to a certain extent.
Right,
because I think even for the Pope's message of unifying, the Pope spoke very clearly about the dysfunctionality in Congress and the importance to unite for the common good, speaking to both parties. And I have to tell you, I'm sure Speaker Boehner is looking at his, right now at his caucus and basically saying, I can't get these guys to all get along. How am I the one supposed to unify these people?
Okay, so how's the next guy going to do it? How's McCarthy going to do it? That's the $64 question. Nobody knows exactly where he's going to be.
That's right. That's right.
When it comes to jobs, no package, no deal. When it comes to infrastructure, no package, no deal. these countless votes in the House to defund and get rid of Obamacare, and yet no plan being forward. I mean, what is Boehner going to be remembered for? He was the guy running the House during the age of obstruction.
Speaker Boehner will be remembered for trying to stall President Obama from his policies. I mean, that's really the end all there. He tried to govern, I think, in a situation that was very difficult. You had more conservatives being elected in the past election cycle. You have, a very divided Congress, a very divided House of Representatives, and it was very difficult to manage not only the relationships that he had in Congress, but as well the relationship with President Obama, which turned sour after the falling apart of the budget deals.
Yeah, well, Obama taking the high road today, saying great things about Boehner. I don't know how he can. I mean, they just politically were just oil and water, never got along, never got accomplished anything. Okay, finally, your thoughts. Mercedes Schlapp with us, who is the co-founder of Cove Strategies, Republican Strategist. Are we going to see a government shutdown over Planned Parenthood?
I think that what we're seeing right now in the House of Representatives and in the Senate, I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think we'll see a government shutdown. They're going to move towards budget reconciliation, move it along that way. But I think the fight over defunding Planned Parenthood is long from being over. This is an issue that's going to be very important for the Republicans in the year 2016.
All right, we got to do a Trump update. Here he is going after.
I thought Trump was out of the news for the whole week.
No. Oh, no. Well, you see, when he's out of the news for just a little bit, he'll get back into the news.
Was here.
By saying stuff like this. He says this about Marco Rubio.
I mean, Marco Rubio, as an example, he's got no money, zero. Now, I think that's okay. It's fine. Maybe it's good politically to say you owe money because you overborrowed in your credit cards. I get these lightweights like Rubio. He gets up and he says, well, Donald Trump didn't talk about foreign policy. I don't want to tell too much.
Marco Rubio, who has the worst voting record in the United States Senate, and a young guy, although he sweats more than any young person I've ever seen in my life. I've never seen a person sweat. I've never seen a guy down water like he downs water. I've never seen, they bring it in buckets for this guy.
Mercedes, the entertainment value is a 10. There's no question about it. But the fact is, nobody else is really gaining on Donald Trump. This guy might be your candidate.
Well, that's a possibility, especially when you have, how many do we have left already? 16 candidates in the field, and it's incredibly divided amongst the votes. Yes, it's interesting to see that his supporters are loyal. They are not budging. They're not moving. The numbers aren't changing too much.
They love the way he talks.
Exactly. He is just, speaking what I would say the Donald truth, and it resonates with all these individuals who are very displeased with establishment Republicans, and they want to change. Now, this is a quarter of the Republican vote, but Ed, guess what? If you add up Ben Carson and Carly's number, that represents over 50% of Republicans right now, according to the polls. Of course, that could change, but it's trending towards, again, the outsiders in Washington, the anti-establishment candidates, the non-politicians. And so we have to see if they could really change it up. Obviously, Donald Trump is very smart. He's going after Carly Fiorina right now. He's going after Marco Rubio. Why? Because those are his two biggest threats at this point. But again, I think with Marco Rubio, it could backfire. He's not a Jeb Bush. He's one of those in the party that, believe it or not, is one of the more likable candidates in the party. And again, I think it's a risky proposition. But for Donald Trump, he takes these big risks, and it doesn't seem to hurt him too much.
Mercedes Schlapp, always a pleasure. Good to have you with us. Thanks so much.
Likewise, Ed. Take care.
You bet. This is Ed Schultz News and Commentary, Monday through Friday, right here at WeGotEd.com, RawStory.com, and RingOfFireRadio.com. Going to be an eventful weekend, and of course, we're going to be in Ohio next Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. We'll have it all for you right here at WeGotEd.com and our affiliate websites. This is Ed Schultz News and Commentary. Have a good weekend.